Hi, I'm Laurie Dobson, and this is the Beachhead. It's the second one. Today is December 22nd, 2020. This is my kitchen table. It's actually in the dining room. It's next to the stove. And it's where I feel connected. So if I ever want to go somewhere to ground down in my life during the day, I go to my table. I think other people are similar. People talk around kitchen tables. It's what we do. We get together and we strengthen ourselves in our resolves and our common understandings of, like, yo, you feel that way too? Oh my God, I was questioning that myself. We're all able to come together somewhere in our lives and speak truth to ourselves when it seems like there's no truth to be had anywhere, where it's all just a soup of understanding, it's misunderstanding. We don't have a chance to find our way. Well, we do have a chance to find our way, but we have to start by getting straight with ourselves. And today I spent 20 minutes in an exercise of my own, trying to state the way I see things going, and trying to get myself clear about where the world is at and what must be done about it. Just not do the typical thing that we all do as humans, which is when we get scared, we find, ways to distance ourselves from the pain of the fear and the pain of what's behind that, which is an understanding of life that we don't understand how it really is, and we don't want to know, because it might hurt our way of looking at the world, or way of looking at ourselves, and we might have to change. We might have to reckon with things. We might have to come to grips with the fact that we have to take a position on something that's just not adequately just or true or right, and we must act on behalf of humanity. And so a lot of time we can sort of skip out on that one by saying, well, other people aren't doing it, so I don't have to, right? But I don't think that's the way of it anymore. I think we've all been knocked back into ourselves, and we have to decide, if it's only me, if I'm the one that's to save this world, if I'm the one that's to bring sanity and humanity back, what do I believe in? And so I wanted to do this video to say, well, what do we believe in that's important enough to fight for? And I think a lot of people have been conditioned to believe that taking care to be safe is the most important thing right now. I'm not here to say, be unsafe, but I don't think that your grounds for understanding safety are based on real understanding of your safety, because I think you're disregarding what makes you safe, what has made you safe inside yourself. When you stop trusting in your own ability to come to terms with life, to be truthful, and you follow other people, you're not centering your understanding of what to do inside yourself. You're mistrustful of yourself. And I think that's the whole point of fear pushers. They want you to be not trustful of yourself. And if I trusted myself way back when this all began, I wouldn't have reacted quite so frantically. When we started hearing about it, I remember I was one of those people who right from the beginning was like banging the drum and saying, wait a minute, wake up, wake up, wake up. This is happening. We've got to get on, this is terrible. This is terrible. We've got to do something about it. It was a fear reaction. I think that the most important thing we needed back then was information, which we didn't have. We started getting some, it seemed like, but it was mixed in with a lot of politicking. And then we were held in thrall by those who were willing to tell us what to do with our fear every day. And they took a place in our minds. I'm thinking of Cuomo. I mean, when I was scared, I would tune into him a lot, just to hear him and his brother and the whole banter, and it helped me feel less scared. So I understand the fear thing and the ways that we try to resolve it. But we've had a while now dealing with this thing, and people talk about it every single day. It's on people's minds. It's the first thing we think about in the morning. It's the last thing we think about at night sometimes, the COVID thing or the lockdown thing or what's going on in our lives. Or this, the lack of ability to take care of ourselves, the healthcare issue, the lack of money, the economic crisis, beyond crisis. It's a calamity. It's a catastrophe. And the lack of congressional action to help people, but to enrich themselves has never been on as open a display. How little they care for the people and how much they care for their own survival and how comfortable they are with that. It's really been an awakening these last months, and now we're heading to the last few days of the year 2020, and everybody said, well. Not everybody, but a lot of people have dealt with their fear by saying, well, it's going to be better. They put, fantasy ideas on it. It's going to be better when we have the vaccine. Anybody that's listening, anybody that understands it knows that they're already saying that the vaccine may not work or may only work 60% or 50%, depending on which one. That it's not clear now how long it's going to last as an effective method. In other words, it's completely up to them to tell us when or it is or isn't, which could easily coincide with another vaccine we have to do and inject. There's going to be no end to the vaccines that are going to be injected into us as long as we're willing to be guinea pigs for these vaccines, as long as we have EMTs capitulating and saying they'd be willing to help be delivery devices for these vaccines, because now we believe in this one, so then we're going to be there for the next one and the next one, and that's how the EMTs get taken off of being our EMTs for our emergencies and just subsumed into the pharmaceutical culture, as so many doctors already are in hospitals, and sooner or later they'd have to pay them, because rather than do what they do now, which is, we barely make any kind of money. It's really a volunteer position, if you want to really look at it accurately, and it's a huge investment and expense to get to be someone who can help people in this capacity. I'm an EMT currently in Maine and nationally. But because I've spoken out about my concerns about vaccines, my concerns about lockdowns, and about testing, but actually even just because of my original questioning about the mask back in October 30th, I was expelled. I was sent a letter saying I was expelled from the service. So they don't want anybody that's going to look at it. They're just going to want people that will comply with, follow directions, the blind obedience thing. And I'm very familiar with blind obedience and loyalty tests and requirements like that. I was a Air Force brat, so I understand what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to support the war effort, wherever it is, whatever the government says. We are in a position to just help execute the will of the government. But back then it was because we thought that we were doing it on behalf of people. And it no longer can be said that the government is acting on behalf of people. It has become a privatized government. So we don't really have anyone representing us except ourselves. You don't have clear, reliable information unless you are willing to go outside of the mainstream narrative, which you won't find anywhere on any TV, with the basic channels or any basic media, mainstream media, which most people still use as their daily dose of fear. And not understanding that what they're doing is they're becoming addicted to fear. And that's an obsession. It's a neurosis. It's a psychological disorder. And when you do enough fear-based thinking, you will desperately need a way to handle it. So a lot of people use addictions, in various forms of escape, whether they're doing something to hurt their bodies or not, maybe exercise or maybe, I don't know, maybe some forms of dealing with fear are helpful. But if you still at the end of the day don't have a method that is reliable, that doesn't hurt your body, that helps you, and helps strengthen you and helps get your priorities straight, then you're not really working your fear. You're acting out of it. And that's not going to save our country. We have to save our country. And like Lincoln said, we must disenthrall ourselves and then we can save the country. And that means get yourself out of the thrall, the spell of fear, of what you're being told. Now, how do you do that? Because a lot of people say, well, okay, that's great to say that, but how do you not feel fear? How do you get out of the sense that this stuff is not, because people believe this stuff is real. I've had to do the work of countering the claims that are out there by those who have profit motive, who have an interest in a particular agenda and a particular result. Say the EMT service, which is getting people on board in the EMS service in Maine to, I've been listening to the town halls designed to help convince people that to take it themselves so they can become, reliable medical professionals that can tell people that are questioning it, who would want to depend on them, that it's okay, I took it, I'm okay. That's what they want. They want just human guinea pigs. If you're willing to take it, great. If you aren't right now, you may lose your place in line. You may never be able to get it again. That's the threat, right? So, oh my God, take it now, even though it's not reliable, not tested, not certain. Don't even know if it's affecting fertility yet because it's too soon to know. They're saying that they have some indications back, but how do they know that? There's no way to know that. But it's okay to put your fertility on the line, to take a vaccine that's unproven over the long run, ramped up way too fast, because some other people in the service say it's a very dangerous virus, and they've seen people die from it, and this and that. Well, you don't know if you've seen people die from this or the flu in this latest bout, because those numbers are conflated. They say, well, you can tell the difference. Well, symptomatically, it is difficult to tell. It's difficult to tell. This virus has never been successfully isolated. So the PCR tests are notoriously, they shouldn't even be used. The guy who invented them said it was never meant to be a test in the way that it is, because it can be proven. If it's all a matter of isolating and magnifying it to a certain point where the body will detect coronavirus, because colds are coronaviruses. It's all a matter of how you tweak the dial. You'll get the result that you want out of that test. So it's a failure. The test is a failure. So all this testing is doing is, getting a lot of false positives to ramp the numbers up to show that all these people have it now. Well, no, not currently. If you don't, and if you're asymptomatic, they're saying you still can give it. Well, these are things I heard from the service in their town hall call, that you're still delivering it if you're asymptomatic. Well, that's not according to the most recent test of nearly 10 million people that said no. Not one single case in which the asymptomatic people in the test passed it on. There are tests out there that can help you understand and counter the claims that are being made every day to try to convince you to do this. Why are you being told so hard, lock down, take this test, take this vaccine, don't move, stay in place? These are the kinds of things you tell people when you want to control countries, when you want to control, the next thing is going to be sanctions. Well, we have been sanctioned. We are already deprived of health care, of the means to survive. When you do this to another country, it's an act of war. So this is an act of war that's happening to us right now. And we can't somehow wrap our minds around that we're being waged war upon by our own government. But if you look at the people doing it, look at Mark Warner on TV, the supreme comfort of that man in denying health care, because he said that those were trying to, like Bernie Sanders trying to give the $1,200 or whatever to people, were just politically posturing. He's the richest man third richest man in the Senate, and in the Congress altogether. He's the richest man in the Senate. What does he care about you? What does he care about your family? His interests are self-interest. His interests are to get reelected and to have a comfortable life. 283 million he's worth. How do those people have any right to be representing us? But, we have a failed election system. We have gerrymandering. We have a totally screwed up electoral system in our country. I'm as devoted to, working within the system as anybody. I've done it several times. I've run for office, for state office as a Democrat twice, and for the U.S. Senate once, and other positions in localities. So I understand standing firmly on the idea that you can fix the system from within, but I don't believe the system is fixable from within. Because I've seen what they just did. They took people who are hanging by a thread, and they cut the thread. And they said, here's $600, go off and have a nice life. You can't even get buried for $600. They don't care to know the level of insecurity you live on or live with. I live with it. Bob's job keeps us going, without it. And I'm very lucky that we have a home, that we are lucky to have a home, to have a place, to not be drowning in debt. We don't make a lot. I have Medicare, Bob has VA. I have main care, but without these things in place, we'd be even more vulnerable. I don't understand what they were thinking, except that they're snakes, they're reptiles, they're not humans, making these decisions to destroy so much of the lives of others. And basically what they're doing is, here I'm at the table, I'm telling you the truth. I believe this is an act of war on the people. I believe this is a genocide inflicted on the human race. It's not just our country, it's everywhere. We're pushing this policy worldwide. I say we, I mean the oligarchs that are running our world, that are running our politicians, that are infesting and infecting our hearts, and encouraging others to act out of fear and self-preservation instead of love of other people, love of mankind, love of liberty, of freedom, of personal freedom. Then what does that mean? Freedom to choose what you will do with your life, in your own precious life. And then thinking we can just decide for others how little life they merit, or they warrant, or they're not an essential person. They don't get to live. They don't get to have their livelihood. It's unconscionable to support anything like that, or to support, or not to fight it outright, and not to talk about it as the great evil, because it's the great evil. It's the great evil. What's happening to the people? This economic lockdown, this prevention of freedom, this forcing people to be locked down, which means imprisoned in their homes. Old people, not making it safe for them, not helping them have a life, not delivering food, not delivering, safety things so they can feel secure. Anybody that's older, that has those kinds of levels of concern about their life, I understand that, and they need to be supported. So I hate it, but it means, I don't get to have my home time with my mom the way that I used to. But on the other hand, if this truly is a flu, let's have it be honest. My mom had flu shots in the past. That seemed to be sufficient for her to be around me, to be around others. This thing has her panicked beyond all comprehension, because every single day they're ramping up the fear level through the roof. It's dangerous, it's death, it's the Black Plague, it's the worst thing that's ever hit mankind, it's worse than a nuclear bomb, it's this, that, and the other thing. Well, it's the flu. What's really crippling and killing us, which is behind the curtain, folks, don't look there, is the economic destruction that people are allowing by staying in their homes, by abiding, by complying, by capitulating, by caving, by giving up. So I'm here at the table and I'm saying, don't give up, act on your freedom, follow your truth, be brave. Be brave. If you are wearing a mask in front of people, talk about the ridiculousness of it. talk about the fact that, well, I'm wearing this thing, but I'm not from the religion, the mask religion. I don't believe in this thing. I'm doing this thing, just so I can get through this store and get out again because I want to be able to eat, or I want to be able to get in the restaurant so I can sit down to have a meal. I want to shop in the store to get Christmas presents for people. So I'm going to wear this thing only as the minimal that I have to do, but no more. And while you're doing that, fight like mad. Fight like mad. Put freedom in wherever you can. I was on those 2 town hall calls, and I let people know how I thought. I told them my situation. I told them what, that I took a hit because I was speaking up. So I got expelled from my EMT service, Cranberry Isles Rescue Service, because I put some of my thoughts on a video. Okay. We're going to have to take some sacrifices to stay true to ourselves, but it's a better kind of a sacrifice. But just folding in fear is no sacrifice at all. That's just, it's just an abdication of yourself to yourself. And at the end of the day, you have you or you don't. So I'm saying get your heart back in place where it belongs and be courageous and fight. All right. Have a good day. Bye.